And so let's talk about, for just a moment, what God wants for us. Because oftentimes we'll hear preachers and teachers talking about what God wants from us, his expectations of us, his requirements of us. But it's just as important that we talk about what God wants for us, because there are so many good things that he wants for us. And one of the things that he wants for us is to have and to be at peace with our past, with ourselves, and with our lives. To not be imprisoned by our past. And it's true that we're all byproducts of our past. I mean, think about it. Our past shapes us. But our past isn't who we are today. Maybe you've gotten in trouble in your past, as did I. And I must admit that I got into a lot of trouble, criminal trouble. But the good news is that the person that we were back then don't have to be the people that we are today. In fact, they're not who we are today. Yet, if you're not going to continue to be that person, you can't keep answering when people refer to you as that person. Instead, reply, yes, I did those things, but that is not who I am. Don't let the events of the past, of your past, destroy the events of your life today. I say to you, refuse to be a victim. Don't talk like a victim. Don't walk like a victim. And don't think like a victim. I mean, instead of thinking that life has happened to you, that maybe he did something to you, she did something, they did something, your parents, your teachers did something to you, instead realize that it was happening for you, that all things are working together for your good. And as I say to people that are going through tough times, difficult seasons, difficult situations, there can be no testimony without some form of a test. And so we've got to go through our test. Realize that the seed doesn't become a tree without being buried in dirt, without being drowned in water, and without being trampled on by people. So I say to you to forgive yourself of the things that you did that maybe hurt you, that maybe hurt others, because there are no do-overs in life. Life is a movie, and you are the star in your movie. But you have to understand that it's a live movie. There are no do-overs. You can't go back and rewrite what was done in the past. There's nothing that we can do about the past except learn from it, forgive ourselves, forgive others, grow from it, ask for forgiveness of those that we hurt, and then to be better as a result of our past. Let it go. Because it's hard to be at peace, constantly beating ourselves up, constantly blaming ourselves. See, God also wants us to be happy and to be at peace with ourselves, with who we are as humans, with who we are as people. But how do we get to this place of peace with ourselves? Well, one of the ways we do it is to stay in our own lane. What I mean is to stop wasting your time, wasting your energy, focused on keeping up with and competing against others. Do I need to say that again? Because I want you to know that what's meant for you is for you. And competing against others don't change that. Whereas I would suggest that you compete against the best version of who you are. And when competing against the best of who you are, be your best to you. Be your best for you. See, because it's hard to be at peace with who you are when you feel and you know that you're cheating you, that you're not giving your all to you. It's hard to be at peace with you when you know that it's you that's holding you back. See, there's a great African adage that says, if there's no enemy on the inside, the enemy on the outside can do us no harm. And so I say to you to be your best friend, love you, like you, discipline you, push you, and hold you accountable. Because it'll lead to you being the best to you for you. And it's easy to be at peace with self when you are being the best that you can be to you, when you're being the best that you can be for you. See, God also created us, and He wants us to be at peace with life and with our own lives. See, there's a prayer called the Serenity Prayer that says, God, grant me the peace to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can change, and the wisdom to know the difference. Well, many of us surrender our peace because we're trying to change things. We're trying to change people that we're not equipped, nor were we created to change. See, if people won't change, then we have to change our ability to deal with them, or we have to change our environment. Everybody that enters our space isn't meant to stay in our space. Think about it. People come and visit our homes, but they also go back home. They don't just stay in our homes. Yet, for many of us, we allow people to live in our minds years and sometimes decades, and it's destroying our peace. Think about it. How many of you still today get really mad or get really sad just thinking about something that somebody did to you maybe 5, 10 years ago? See, we often think that we're mad or we're sad because of what was done. But really, we're mad and we're sad because we won't let it go and we won't live. Remember that it's not what happens to us that determines who we become, but rather it's how we respond to the things that happen. And so, let us look at some other things that we can do to begin to possess the peace that God wants us to have. One of those things is we can accept that we're seed, S-E-E-D, seed, and that seeds have to be buried, have to deal with challenging and difficult elements in order to blossom into a fully grown, healthy tree that produces fruits. 2, show yourself some grace. Accept that we will make mistakes and we will have things not turn out the way that we want them to turn out, not turn out when we want them to happen. It's just natural that we're never as good in the beginning of something as we are in the end. So show yourself some grace. And even when we become pros at what we're doing, see, I watch a lot of sports and I know that even the greats sometimes will commit a penalty, will sometimes do things that cause them yardage or touchdowns or wins. Then 3, meditate and quiet your mind. See, technology and this 24/7 way of living certainly has its benefits, but it also is destroying our peace because our cell phones are always making noises, our TVs are always on, our radios are always blasted, people are always wanting our time and our attention. There always seems to be something else that needs to be done. And for many of us, the only times that we allow our mind to rest is when we're asleep. And then there are some of you who can't even sleep well because you have so much stuff on your mind. 4, take walks in nature. Get out of your familiarity. Walk in nature because it'll help you to reorient your focus. And what we know is where our focus goes, our energy flows. Notice the flowers. Notice the trees. Notice the grass. Notice the animals. Look at the birds. Take in and marvel at the beauty in nature, complimenting God for His ability and His wisdom in making all the things in the earth for our benefit. 5, stay away from gossip. Stay away from negative talk. Stay away from messy people. And instead, surround yourself with positive people because energy is infectious. Think about the energy at a funeral versus the energy at a ball game in a stadium filled with thousands of people. There's a there's a vast difference in the energy that's present. And lastly, if we're going to have the peace that God wants us to possess, we're going to have to discover the truth about God beyond names and beyond religion. Because when we get to Him the way that He wants us to be at, there's a peace that you'll discover that the world can't give and the world can't take away. A peace that helps you to be at peace with your past, with your present, with who you are as a person. And that's probably the most important thing that I've said in this conversation. Get to God beyond names and beyond religion, because it'll help us not only create internal peace, but it'll also help us to be at peace with others, knowing that we're all siblings of the one human family, all created by the one God of good in a world of good and evil that created all of us. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of people or a lot of places teaching us to know God beyond names and religion. Most time people work to convince us that God is either one or the other. He either has to be Jehovah or Allah or Yahweh or Brahma. Either has to be the God of Christianity, the God of Islam, the God of Judaism, or the God of Hinduism. It's just how the world teaches us to know and to approach the subject of God, which only divides us into groups of us versus them, which, as history has shown us, is only a recipe for war, for violence, for separation, and for murder. And those things destroy our peace. And so I invite you to come discover the truth about God beyond names and religion. And I invite you to enroll in a course that God gave me to create called The Real Truth About God Beyond Names and Beyond Religion. Because it's our foundation to peace. It's our foundation to living a life of purpose, to being happy, successful, significant, and being pleasing unto God. And so I asked that you would register for the course, The Real Truth About God Beyond Names and Religion, at carloshead.com, because I truly want you to be at peace as you grow into the best version of who God created you to be. I also ask that you would follow me on social media at all the platforms at either carloshead07 or carloshead at 07. And lastly, I ask that you would like this video and to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more thought-provoking conversations and videos like this.